All right, so I'm gonna try to keep this one short and simple and to the point, but give you as much information as I can. So today we have a trucking company review out of Mansfield, Louisiana. We are talking about Southern Fluid Solutions, aka SFS. Now my this is just my experience with the company. I can't speak on nobody else's information or anybody else's experience, but let's get on into it. So let's start off with what everybody want to know: the pay. Do Southern Fluid Solutions pay good? I would say this: they pay, I think, 23 on night shift, $21 on day shift. Last time I was there. So, with that being said, they used to pay $25 an hour a couple years ago, but they brought the pay down. And we're gonna get into probably what I think is why in a moment, but yeah, let's just start off with the pay. Number two, the management. Oh, this is a big section, and this is juicy. I'm gonna just start off with this question: do they treat their drivers well? I'm gonna just be brutally honest. I'm gonna say, in my humble opinion, I don't think they do. And the reason I'm saying that is simply because I've seen with my own eyes people fired for simply, or people not necessarily fired, but yeah, actually, yes, fired. I've heard stories of people being fired, and I've seen and heard stories of people getting in trouble for being tired. Now, when you drive a truck, I'm pretty sure we all know the number one rule when driving a truck. If you're tired, pull over. It don't matter if the company cares about the load and they worried about when the load gonna get done, bro. The number one rule is safety at all times. And I'm not saying that SFS is not a safe company. That's not what I'm saying. But what I will say is they have had the most wrecks that I have ever seen in my own trucking experience. In my own trucking experience, period. And I've worked for Maverick, I worked for Dollar General, I worked for Lou Thompson, I worked for SFS, Southern Fluid Solutions, and I worked for Quality Carriers. So with that being said, for them to have the very most wrecks, and I'm not exaggerating when I say the most, like I would say at least 2 to 3 times a month, I think I would hear about a wreck, or or I'd see a truck on the yard that's wrecked. You know what I mean? Like it's always something going on. Now, a lot of that, in my opinion, has to do with, like I said, they really don't be wanting people to go to sleep. And their whole thing about it is they'll tell you at orientation, yeah, you could go to sleep, ain't nobody gonna get on you or whatever. The orientation, they gonna tell you that. But every time you tell them, like you text the dispatch, you tell them, hey, I'm tired, they writing it down. They steady writing it down. So that way, in their opinion, if you do it too much, so to say, you'll get fired. And that makes no sense, because if you work nights, then you cannot sit there and control if you're gonna get tired or not every single night. Like it don't matter if you sleep as much as you're supposed to. Bro, when you're driving hours through the night and you work a 12 to 14 hour shift, you're going to get tired. Like, I'm sorry, the load is gonna get where it's gonna get, but you're gonna get tired sometimes. And they just don't respect that. You know what I mean? And what's crazy about that is that a lot of the supervisors that run and manage the company, they have their CDL, so they know what it's like. But I guess it's the management that's above them that's just, I don't know, on their case about, the money and stuff like that the company is making. And that leads me to my next point, which is the penny pinching and the micromanaging. Let me tell y'all something. I've never been at a company where, until SFS, where they bring up how much money the company is making versus how much they're paying you and complain about it. I've never experienced that until I went to SFS. Here's the deal. When you go to SFS, every minute that you're on that clock, they watching you whether you realize it or not. And eventually, if they catch you slacking one day, everybody can have a bad day. You know what I'm saying? Your wife and you got in an argument. You know what I'm saying? Something going on with your kid. They might catch you texting on your phone while you're supposed to be doing your pre-trip. I'm talking about the supervisors driving by in their truck, making sure nobody's stealing time and just sitting there wasting time. But you could be having a rough day. You know what I mean? Everybody had their moments. And let them catch you sitting there and it seems like you ain't doing nothing. Oh, you best believe at some point they're going to be bringing up how much they paying you versus how much work you're doing at the job and how much money you make in the company. Like, ain't no way y'all penny pinching that bad to the point where you got to come tell me, hey, you know what I'm saying, you ain't making enough money for us. Like, what? The money that the company makes ain't got nothing to do with what my baby mama and me got going on. Ain't got nothing to do with what my child have going on. So if my child is having an issue and me and my baby mama having an issue and I got to sit there and take a 5-10 minute call while I'm doing a pre-trip, you mean tell me you paying attention to that? You watching me like that? Out of 100+ drivers, you watching like that? So that's all I'm saying. And it's like, to an extent, I get it. Like, I'm not saying that you should just be stealing time from a company. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is that I feel as though if a company gonna be doing that, then they should have had at least a handbook, which this company literally never gave me a handbook. I don't think they gave, and I'm saying I don't think, but I'm pretty much 100% sure, allegedly 100% sure, that they didn't give any of their other employees a handbook as to what the rules are and the regulations are to go by at that company. They just make stuff up as they go, bro. Literally. And that's just my opinion. They make stuff up as they go. And then you get blamed for productivity and things of that nature a lot of the times. So moving on to my next point, which is safety. I personally know somebody that died at that company. Why did he die? Well, the legend has it, he told one of the dispatchers he was sleepy, he was tired, and he was about to get off of work. So, you know what the dispatchers texted him back and said? This is allegedly. I don't know if it's true. But I can tell you one thing, he's no longer here with us. Allegedly, he was told, you're close to the yard, just keep on going. He was about, I'd say 20 minutes from the yard when he wrecked and died. And that's just, you know, legend has it how it went. But you know what's even more crazy is he just started the job about a month in. He was only a month in, if that. I'm probably being generous. He probably hadn't even made a month there yet. But that's besides the point. Now, for wrecking, I love doing tanker work. Tanker trucks and trailers are my favorite type to drive. Because I don't know, it's just something about dealing with the hoses and stuff. Like, I love doing that. But I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat and say that this company was good in my opinion, because they paid the bills, but they were not good to. They are definitely not a family-oriented company, in my opinion. Let me tell you what else. Okay, their trucks, their dashes lit up like Christmas trees a lot of the times. Them trucks that they was using, bro, it's always a problem. And they had 3 mechanics. Only one of them were licensed. Literally on night shift, only one licensed mechanic there. So he's literally sending all of these trucks out that have issues every single day because they run their trucks 24/7, or at least they did when I was there. Night shift and day shift, 12-hour shifts, which you don't even know if you're going to get off on time. A lot of the times they'll send you late loads and you'll get off literally after working 14 or over a 14-hour clock a day, which is illegal by DOT. We ain't gonna talk about that. A lot of the times, matter of fact, they didn't even have ELDs for us to log our hours, if I'm being honest. They didn't. Not when I was there. So, you know what I mean? That's a lot of the cons. I probably got to make another video because I'm kind of in a rush right now. But if I could think of what's good about that company. A good thing about that company especially is if you stay in Mansfield or around Mansfield, Louisiana, they pay the most money for hauling salt water, and the job itself is super easy. It's super easy. You literally hook up a hose, open up a valve, and let the water go into the tank. And you sit there and wait for it to be done. You don't have to do much physical labor at all. It's not a difficult, physically strenuous job at all, by any means. It's not. So that's a really good part about it. Another good part, if you get on day shift, even though they take the pay down from 23 to 21 on day shift, I mean, day shift is pretty nice because you can see where you're going. You're way less likely to get sleepy. So I think day shift will have a much better experience than night shift. But aside from those two things, man, it pays the bills. But I can't really think of too much else, in my opinion, that's so good about it. Oh, they will let you get as much overtime as you want. For a fact, they'll let you get a lot of overtime because one thing about the oil field, they always need water moved. So if you want to go with them, you know what I'm saying? I say try it out for yourself, you know what I'm saying? I'm not telling you not to do it. They'll hire almost anybody who can safely drive a truck. You know what I'm saying? They will hire you. For a fact, they will hire you, as far as I know. So that's really all I got right now for SFS. So I hope you know what I'm saying, have a good rest of your day. I remember when I was about to start there, I couldn't really find too much information about the company. So that's why I made this video for other people who may be considering going drive for them, to just help you out in making your decision and, you know, help you do your research, because I know I like to know the ins and outs before I go to a company. I don't like to just sign those dotted lines without knowing too much. So, hey, if this helped you out, leave a like, leave a comment, share it with somebody else you know. And without further ado, I'm gone.